Happy International Women's Day. I'm Dr. Larry Burchett, MD. The CDC today came out and basically said if you're vaccinated, you can hang out with other people who are vaccinated. Big change from the recommendations of social distancing and masking that we've had in place for almost a year. I'm going to review what they said today. It's available on their website, CDC.gov, breaking it into two parts: what's changed and what's stayed the same. What hasn't changed. So let's dive right in. Fully vaccinated people. Now, what is fully vaccinated? They define that as 2 weeks after you've gotten your second shot, allowing that much time for immunity to build up in the system. Fully vaccinated people can, number one, visit with other fully vaccinated people indoors without masks or physical distancing. I had to read this several times to believe it. It's kind of crazy, right? But they're saying, hey, if people have been vaccinated, you can hang out indoors. You don't have to be at a distance. You don't have to wear a mask. I'm like, can we hug? Are they actually saying that we can hug? Have I hugged some people? Yeah, I have hugged some vaccinated buddies of mine. I think some of this stuff, the public people have been doing, but to get this level of blessing from the CDC, that's a great sign as to how effective the vaccine is. These vaccines have been really good at keeping people out of the ICU and out of the hospital with severe complications of COVID. There was some concern initially that the vaccines still may transmit COVID. To hear them come out and say, look, if you've had the vaccination, you're good. You can hang out together. That's a huge step forward. I mean, this is news. That's why I'm bringing it to you. The second thing they said of something that's changed: if you're vaccinated, you can visit with unvaccinated people from a single household, so they limit it, who are low risk without masks or distancing. So you can so they don't want you going out, going everywhere, getting a little crazy. And then low risk, so meaning not super old, not immunosuppressed, on cancer, on chemo for cancer, really bad diabetes, obesity, heart disease, that kind of stuff would be higher risk. Still need to be cautious with those guys. But a vaccinated person can hang out with an unvaccinated person who's low risk. I think for a lot of us, this is really significant about the vaccine because we were worried about giving it to our parents or our grandparents or somebody in the house who was immunocompromised or who had some kind of risk to get COVID. And now there's enough data to where, first of all, those older folks with those conditions, many of them have been vaccinated or have had the opportunity to be vaccinated. And so that kind of, gives this sigh of relief, like, oh, thank God, my parents are vaccinated, the grandparents, this person is vaccinated. I don't have to worry that I'm or the kids or whoever is going to give it to them. But then also, once you are vaccinated, that's another lift of burden that you're much, much less likely to give it to anybody. And so low likelihood that they're saying, hey, you can hang out with other vaccinated people. You can hang out with other low risk people. We're still in the middle of a pandemic with a ton of cases. So we don't want everybody going out and going around. But things are way better. Now, the third thing they said in here, so if you're vaccinated, you can refrain from quarantine and testing following a known exposure if asymptomatic. So beforehand, if you came into contact, let's say you rode in a car with somebody who had a cough and a fever, they turned out to be COVID positive, that was 14 days of quarantine for you. Now they're saying, hey, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to do that anymore. If you get symptoms, yes, you have to take that serious, get tested. You do need to do that. That part hasn't changed. But because you're vaccinated, if you don't develop symptoms, the chance you're going to have something and be transmitting it is so low, we're not even doing that anymore. That's a big change from what they were saying. Okay, so what hasn't changed? Well, number one, when you're in public, we're still doing distancing and masking. I agree with this. I think this is a good idea, at least because not everybody is vaccinated. So imagine you're going to the grocery store. Some people are wearing a mask, some are not. Very confusing. there still needs to be that blanket rule. I disagree with Texas throwing the mask mandate out yet. I think it's too early for that. Sure, you can do that when we're down here, not when we're here, not when we're on the way down like that. I don't think that's the right thing. And I agree with this recommendation. Myself being vaccinated, I'm still wearing a mask and keeping a distance in general out in public. It talks about what we reviewed earlier with unvaccinated people who are higher risk folks. Still be cautious. Wear a mask. Keep a distance. Avoiding medium and large size gatherings. So no concerts. These big COVID parties in Tulum, I'm sure they're a ton of fun. Part of me wants to be there. Not right. It's still not right in the middle of this pandemic with everything going on. And then get tested if you have COVID symptoms because it's still going around. So those are the changes. Check them out at CDC.gov. I think once you're vaccinated, it's such a burden lifted for you and your family that you're not going to be giving it to people. And you can hug again. I think that's great. Happy International Women's Day. Go ladies. Go everybody. See you next time.